ANC 220% upgrade, and sound quality is a $1,000 flagship, yet it is only 1,499 RMB, around $250. This is the Huawei FreeBuds Pro 5. Hello friends, welcome back. This is Jessy, and don't worry, I'm not here to read you their PowerPoint. Brand presentations are always undefeated, but our ears are always brutally honest. In today's video, we're going through the real strengths of the Huawei FreeBuds Pro 5, along with the flaws that most people won't mention. How is ANC compared to the Pro 4 and the AirPods Pro 3? How is sound quality stacks up against the X3? And what's the experience is like when you're not inside the harmonious ecosystem? And if you find this video helpful, don't forget to comment good on Jessy to show your love. This pair of earbuds comes with 4 major advantages. It's the claimed 220% noise cancellation improvement, and the so-called lossless and master tape level, the near-link audio quality. Starting with ANC, we measured the Pro 5 using the KU100 system. And the ANC curve shows a peak depth of the -58 dB, with an average of -36 dB. The Pro 5 mainly used a wideband noise cancellation strategy this generation, which indeed performs very effectively on voices and sharp impact sounds. So to give you a reference everyone knows, compared to the Sound Quality 5, which peaks at 55 dB with an average around -32 dB. Every 3 dB in acoustic is already a significant step up. When I am wearing the Liberty 5, the voices still come through relatively clear, but with the Pro 5, they immediately drop to half their volume. When I was testing sound quality, my friend was calling me right next to my ear, and I generally didn't notice at all. So in real-world perception, it's getting very close to the AirPods Pro 3. So we can take the ANC curves side by side with the AirPods Pro 3 and the previous generation, the FreeBuds Pro 4. So we can see, even using the default silicone tips, the Pro 5 basically surpassed the Pro 4 across the entire range, especially with much more stable suppressions in the mid to high frequencies. And against the AirPods Pro 3, I think it's just a tie, almost like Huawei somehow just got across to Apple's blueprint. These two brands really just are the type that actually deliver meaningful upgrades with every new generation. You could say the Huawei FreeBuds Pro 5 currently just delivers the strongest ANC you can get in the entire Huawei ecosystem, or honestly, I think it's in the Android ecosystem. So in real world, it just cuts around 96% of the sub-wave type, the low frequency noise, and roughly 60% of the human voices. And that easily just earns a full 10 out of 10, I think, for noise cancellation. But to be honest, I personally feel ANC just entered an overflow stage. ANC upgrades alone are no longer a convincing reason for me to pay double the price. After all, at the half the money, you can already get 70 or 80% of the ANC performance, which is more than enough once you are listening to music, especially with something like the AirPods Pro 3, an earbuds that basically only has ANC to brag about. Next is the much discussed near-link transmission technology. Paired with Harmony OS 6 and the Mate 80 series, it really can reach up to 4.6 Mbps of master tape level the bitrate. But that doesn't mean the TWS have suddenly surpassed the IEMs in actual sound quality. The TWS is inherently limited by the internal chamber volume and restricted by the battery power output. So the chance of reaching the sonic performance of the true system level hi-fi gear is pretty much zero. It's like you're just expecting a phone processing power to outperform a full desktop PC. Yes, bitrate doesn't affect sound quality, but not dramatically. At most, it adds just some detail and density. Under the same tuning, the difference in sound quality between the different bitrates really just exceeds 10%. And whether an earbud sounds good still depends on the brand's acoustic taste and its physical tuning capabilities. And when it comes to the Huawei, Heavy bass has always been the signature, so no matter how premium the materials are, the overall performance it just still leans towards a bass signature, and that isn't something you can magically fix by just tweaking an EQ. Using the BNK1704, we measured the Pro 5's frequency response across different modes. With the default tuning, the Pro 5 gets a noticeable bass boost with a fast roll-off. The approach is similar to the Pro 4, but with much less boost. The previous booming head effect is just gone, and the kick drums hit tighter and cleaner. The impact is more controlled, and the layers in the low drums and the bass line are more defined. The sub-bass extension is solid but without bleeding into each other's frequencies, and which shows, I think, the Huawei really did listen to the user feedback. The mids dip slightly and it's later than the Pro 4, so it makes the overall mid-range fuller and rounder. The sibilance control is excellent with no graininess, and female vocals have strong power and clarity, but there is a slight sandy texture at times. The treble gain isn't so high, but I think it's just thanks to the planar driver. The resolution is still impressive. The strings feel very natural with a smooth texture, and the instruments have good shimmer. But I think, just in my personal, and I find the string timbre is a little bit dry, I think. And what is also impressive this generation is the Huawei's adaptive frequency response compensation. Turning the ANC on or off only results in minor curve shifts and doesn't meaningfully just change the listening experience. The soundstage position is strong too, with both vertical and horizontal space pulling apart nicely. And overall, the sound quality of the Huawei FreeBuds Pro 5 absolutely supports the AirPods Pro 3, and within the current flagship ones, it definitely ranks among the top tiers. So compared with the OPPO ENCO X3 that I've mentioned many times before, the main differences lies in the performance of the bass and the treble. The X3's bass roll-offs just starting from around 20 Hz, so the sound feels more condensed and refined. So put it simply, it doesn't rely on sheer quantity, yet it still gives you a stronger sense of impact. The different ranges of the bass also sit in different spatial positions. For example, the 200 to 500 Hz region just tends to sit at the upper left and upper right, giving you a very strong sense of being wrapped around, while the lower bass sits directly in front of you, just presenting a sense of diffusion and extension. The treble roll-off on the X3 is also more natural, with far better extension, and you can even visualize the trebling and lingering trills of the string instruments. Pro 5 tries very hard to achieve a more neutral and balanced sound signature and has made some improvements. But to overcome these issues, it still requires more attempts. And speaking of the OPPO, who exactly decided that the upcoming OPPO ENCO X3s would only be sold overseas? I can't even buy it where I am. At the same time, the hardware built on the Pro 5 is indeed stacked. The metal strip around the earbuds should be the so-called Lingxi antenna, which greatly enhance the long-distance signal transmission. In many complex environments, such as the subway station and the airports, the Pro 5 just remains extremely stable. And after testing with my friend, we found that the maximum transmission distance in an unobstructed environment is around 150 meters. And this time, the Pro 5 also adds the dual online and offline recording features, and when paired with the HarmonyOS 6 and supported devices, it even offers real-time transcription and summary generation. The interaction system is extremely well designed. You'd never expect earbuds to integrate 5 different gesture control, including the pressing, the tap, and slide. This means whether you're moving from Apple to Android or the Android to Apple, the learning never costs too much. And of course, you can always trust Huawei's the wind noise control and call quality. I will include the call samples from the Pro 4, Pro 5, AirPods Pro 3, and the ENCO X3 at the end of the video so you can compare them yourself. Now for the drawbacks. I think the biggest and honest the only one, the flaw of the Pro 5 is the ecosystem restrictions. From the band's perspective, it makes sense just because they want a closed and optimized ecosystem for their own products. But considering a big portion of my audience is not on Huawei devices, it still needs to be mentioned. Non-Huawei or non-Harmony OS device cannot use features like the voice assistant, the smart charging and the spatial audio, the offline finding, and many other. The main advertised feature like the 4.6 Mbps lossless transmission and the near-link connection requires the Harmony OS 6 or the devices like the Mate 80 and X7 series. So even if you are a Huawei user, there is still a chance you might not actually get access to the Pro 5's biggest selling point. Here is the detailed compatibility chart for all the supported features and devices. So to summarize, I personally feel the upgrades on the Pro 5 are generally significant, especially in ANC and interaction features. If you're a Huawei user with a budget, you can absolutely go for it. If you're not a Huawei user, but you want the strongest ANC possible, the Pro 5 does provide better sound quality compared with other models at the same ANC level. And the ear pressure is also lighter than on the AirPods Pro 3. So if you're interested, I highly recommend going to an official store and try them in person. Alright, that's it for this video. At the end, you will find the call quality comparison between the Pro 5 and the other earbuds. Thank you so much for sticking with me. Hope this video brings you some help. See you in the next time. Good one, Jessy.
Hello guys, this is the call quality of the Huawei FreeBuds Pro 5. How do you feel the sound? Is it clear? Hello guys, this is the call test of the Huawei FreeBuds Pro 4 in the subway, and how do you feel the sound? Is it clear? Hello guys, this is the call test of the OPPO ENCO X3 in the subway. How do you feel the sound? Is it clear? Hello guys, this is the call test of the AirPods Pro 3. How do you feel the sound? Is it clear?